Hello, hello, goodbye, and hello again. I think that's how I started the stream the other day, too. Okay, I think. I think I've got the technical problems worked out this time. I hope. Gonna give chat a second to confirm if they can or cannot hear me. So, the plan for today is to pick up where we left off, finish DKC2, and then with whatever time's left over, we could play Mario Kart World, like online, with whoever got duped into buying a Switch 2. Haven't heard anything yet. Gonna assume it's working. Now, I have never used a camera while streaming. And the reason for that is pretty simple. The only webcam that I have is an Xbox Live Vision camera. I'm honestly thinking about getting the Switch 2 camera just for the sake of having a better webcam. However, in light of the fact that I was playing DKC2 on original hardware, on the genuine article, so to speak, I realized something a little bit funny. I do actually have another webcam, and that is the Game Boy camera. Man. And also, just thinking about this thing, I'm like, it would be really fun to do a video on it because I was kind of like the perfect age for it. And it's so funny. I got to thinking about this in terms of like, there was a time when you would take a picture and then you had to like go to like a drugstore and get it developed. You didn't have that like instant ability to just look at it right then. And I am probably functionally like the youngest you can possibly be and have a memory of like a time before that, or before like digital photography was a thing. And so this was my first digital camera, the Game Boy camera, and it's a lot of fun. Has a lot of personality. But anyway, let's somebody asks, are you going to make a video on Mario Kart World? Also, the Switch 2 camera is a much better webcam than something for the Xbox 360. Yeah, I would hope so. But oh yeah, no, this is I am literally holding my Super Nintendo in one hand in order to get this shot. You're gonna lose a huge amount of batteries. Oh no, this is through the Super Game Boy. It's two ridiculous pieces of tech that work well together. I always liked this border. I was a born theater kid. But okay, let's get started. Bye. What I need to do is I need to get like 2 Super Nintendos. So I can have like myself in the corner through the Game Boy camera. I've heard that if you have like the right equipment, then you can actually connect like you need like an HDMI to USB thingy, and then you can actually use the Game Boy camera as a webcam on the Switch 2. Not a very good one, but it apparently does work. Is this what 4K looks like? Okay, I believe this was the oh yeah. You lose all of your banana coins when you reload a save. TGC is my favorite VTuber. Well, thank you. In order to get out of Gloomy Gulch, I'm going to have to find 2 banana coins. And there's one. Because the last thing I did the other day, I remember, was play that level in the Lost World with the lava level with the barrels that move around. So how's everybody doing today? It's a very stormy day here. If I suddenly lose power and disappear, that'll be why. But I think we're through the worst of it. That didn't happen. Nobody saw that. Just go here. Someone back here? Yeah. So when you save your game, like your save games don't save how many banana coins you have. So whenever you reload a save, you lose whichever one, like however many you've got. Okay, so but fortunately, once you pay Funky one time in a world, he's free forevermore. Okay, did I do this one? Yes. Okay. So I think that means Animal Antics is the only Lost World level I've got left. Somebody says, "Are you more hyped for DK Bonanza or Metroid Prime 4?" Well, okay, so I'm like, not only am I a bigger Donkey Kong fan than a Metroid fan, I'm also a bigger 2D Metroid fan than a 3D Metroid fan. So it's not that I'm not hyped about Prime 4, it's just that, like, you know, Donkey Kong is just on a whole other level to me. I mean, obviously. Oh yeah, weird power flicker, huh? No, if you don't know what I did there, any level that you've already finished, you can like reset. Oh man, any level that you've already finished, you can reset to the map screen by pausing and then hitting the select button. But of course, I have not beaten Animal Antics, so this I would say is probably pretty universally considered the most challenging level in at least in the Super Nintendo trilogy. I don't know, the bonus levels in Returns and Tropical Freeze might be even more punishing than this, but this one's real tough. Gonna play it a little smarter this time. Here's the Rare logo made out of bananas. Yeah, we've already had a dead monkey. I think I had so many in the Lost World levels yesterday that like it's not worth keeping track of. I remember a couple years ago, Doug did a challenge where he was like giving away. I think he was giving away Twitch subs for like every death he had in this game. And you know, you do that typical thing where you watch it and you're like, I could do better than that. But you always have to remind yourself that like actually playing a game under pressure is is a very different and while talking for that matter. By the way, shout out one more time to the person the other day who informed me that you can instantly make web platforms under yourself by just hitting the L and R buttons at the same time. I never knew that before. Been playing this game for 30 years. Almost. It's almost 30 years. The best strategy here, though, is going to be to be careful. The bonus level is right over that wall, but I don't care about that. Yeah, cartoon gamer. I knew you'd be the exact kind of person who'd be like shocked by that. But yeah, the L and R buttons while you're Squitter work the same way the A button does. It's like I'm hitting L then R to do this. So if you just hit them both at the same time, you will both fire a web platform and open it at the same time. Here we go with the most difficult part of Animal Antics. Not yet. This isn't it. Oh, this is a great opportunity to use that thing. Oh, that's so much nicer. Jeez. I can't believe I never knew. Well, not knowing about the hand slap, you know. That's a cool move, but it's never actually like needed in DKC1. At least I don't think it is. Okay, good time to get hit. That's what my friends and I would always say when we lost a hit like right next to a DK barrel. The serendipity, it's like rare new. All right, not too bad. Now the the thing is though, that what made this level so punishing was that after getting through all that, you still have to play the rattly section. And if you lose, you have to go like all the way back to the beginning of the squitter section. So there's typically a lot of pressure here. And then this at the very end. I have died to those zingers before. Oh yeah, I didn't think about the fact that that L1R trick would probably work in DKC3 as well. Anyway, so now we're going to be able to do the goofy thing that I decided to try. So I used the cheat where you get like all the crim coins in the first level. Like normally that you wouldn't be able to beat all of the Lost World levels without actually finishing the game properly, because you'll get the 70, like even if you get all the bonus levels, you'll still get the 75th crim coin from beating Rool. But I thought it would be funny to just go ahead and do the Lost World without ever rescuing Donkey Kong. So that's what we're going to go do. Beat the second Rool before the first one. He shoots out fish because he got knocked into the water at the end of the game. But again, that hasn't happened yet. You've created a time paradox. One of the relatively few criticisms I have of Smash Ultimate, you'll see why I thought of this in a second. And like, criticizing Smash Ultimate is so funny to me too, because like, it's like, there's so much to it. Any criticism I have of it just feels like nitpicking, but nonetheless, because it had the whole "everyone is here" gimmick, it didn't do a whole lot in terms of new stages, especially new stages outside of DLC. And as a result, like Rool did not get like a stage unique to him. And I always thought, you know, something like this very room here would have been really, really cool. He did get like new remixes, which was great. And that'll be it. But like every time I hear, you know, like I'm just playing on one of the older Donkey Kong stages, and it has this song on it, I'm just like, man, a stage like this or like the Flying Croc would have been so cool for him. I didn't finish it all, though. I cheated not only the game, but myself. Dr. Mad says, it's funny that I can play through the retro DKC games no problem, but I find these insanely difficult. That's so weird, dude, because, like, I've noticed this in recent years. For ages and ages and ages and ages, the consensus was that the original DKC games were hard but fair. I mean, not that they're not all fair, but you know what I mean. They're pretty challenging. Let's just enjoy this real quick. I'll get back to that in a second. Remind me. Every Donkey Kong fan's favorite end screen. One of the things that the GBA port butchered most of all. But yeah, this just stays here as long as you sit here. But anyway, what I was saying. Good job, Chris. Or I mean, right? But yeah, it's been funny to watch how like the people who played the retro games first. I'm not saying they're necessarily like universally younger, but you know, I think that's been the general trend. They tend to think that the original trilogy on the Super Nintendo, like that's way harder. And it's just funny because you see the effect that I think playing a game when you're a kid has on your perspective of how difficult it is through that. Because like I said, we always thought like, okay, the DKC games on Super NES, they were very like they were very much like balanced difficulty for the expectations of the time. Uh, but the Retro Studios games, man, those were like the master class of 2D platformers. Where I mean, to this day, I find the Retro Studios games to be a lot harder than these. But I mean, that's because I've played them for comparatively much less time. And it's probably also that like these games are, like I said, balanced to the expectations of the time, and games have generally trended, easier over time. So even though I still think the Retro Studios games are like much more punishing than most quote unquote modern games. I mean, I need to say modern, but Returns is like 15 years old this year. But they are nonetheless, built more around contemporary expectations of difficulty. But yeah, there's nothing like, growing up playing a game to make you think that it's easier than it really is. Although, I think it's also, I was talking a lot about this on stream the other day. The fact that my friends and I, it took us like the better part of like 6 months to get through this game. Gonna try not to kill a parrot here. So if you didn't catch it, what's happening here is that I'm actually racing that other parrot. And I don't the way I usually play, you probably just won't see him. I'm way more likely to die by the brambles than to him. Yeah. Oh yeah, Returns is 15, Other M is 15. I mean, this game's turning 30, so Returns, that means DKC Returns is at the exact midpoint right now of the entire Donkey Kong Country chronology, more or less. You only get to see this horrifying animation once. But man, seeing what DK is going through, it really makes you think. They tortured him for months. But yeah, thinking about it, like this boss in particular, or like Animal Antics, there is so much like just not just trial and error stuff. Not, I still don't think these games are ever, or at least very rarely, whole unfair. But there is a lot. There are a lot of jumps that you'll like just kind of have to work on. And I think the Retro Studios games are a lot more lenient in terms of like checkpoints slash checkpoints, haha, and just all of the well. Also, Returns has Super Kong, the Super Guide system. Does Tropical Freeze have anything like that? I can't remember if it does. I never use that stuff, so. And then it also has like the shop items that you can get. So it definitely has ways to make things, to take the edge off if you need it. I remember one of my friends when like K. Rool's cannon backfires and he just becomes like a mess of soot with his eyes showing. For some reason, the impression that he got was that K. Rool was temporarily transforming into Donkey Kong. I think because like his eyes make that sort of noise when he blinks. But I think that just goes to show you how little we were. It's got a mash. K. Rool really could have gotten me there. He just chose not to. This is the hardest one to avoid. Yeah, it usually gets me. This reverses your controls. So left is right and right is left. And then he starts doing this. And you're not quite fast enough to totally outrun it. That's what usually happens. I've lost there so many times. And I've lost to that cannonball too, for that matter. We're going to get a Killer Instinct reference here. Apparently that's the same uppercut that I think Glacius uses in Killer Instinct. I remember the internet was very excited about that in like 1996. Kovar says, when I run out of lives, I just don't have the patience to replay several levels I've already beaten, so the SNES games by that merit might be less difficult but more punishing. I mean, one thing I would say, and I mean, we were sort of talking about this the other day. The Donkey Kong Land games, I beat all three of those for the first time in the past, like as they came out on NSO late last year. And admittedly, the primary reason I did it was because I just let myself use Rewind. Because the Donkey Kong Land games, especially the first one, are, they're janky little 8-bit platformers, trying to punch well above the Game Boy's weight. So, I always think it's funny when typically older gamers try to come down on people being like, oh, you shouldn't use save states, you shouldn't use rewind, you shouldn't... play the game in the way that's the most fun for you. Who am I to judge? When I was a kid, until DKC2, I talked about this in the episode, like 11 years ago, this was one of the first really challenging games I ever finished without the advent of like a Game Genie or any cheat codes whatsoever. So, I think that sometimes you need to mod a game or make it a little easier on yourself in order to sort of get around that. And basically just in order to have more fun with it quicker. And then maybe you come back later and get better at it. Or maybe you don't, either way. But it's just like, they're here for us to enjoy and have fun with. So whatever way is the most fun for you, play it that way. That's not what Cranky would say. No, you're right. Cranky would absolutely despise Rewind. Oh, thank you, McTankies. You're the first person to ever do that. I do not know what that even does, so thank you. They sent 50 gift memberships. I'm apparently about to have a lot more YouTube members than I had before. I haven't messed with the YouTube membership system in a very, very, very long time. So... Oh, Bobbert Reviews, thank you. Thank you again, too. I recognize you. Seriously, that was so freaking generous the other day. And 50 gift memberships, I believe, if I remember how the membership system works right, that's also extremely generous, so thank you. Also, I think in terms of, like, is the word I want to use indoctrinating? Sure. Indoctrinating kids into the world of Donkey Kong Country, I think this was always very effective. Because, I saw this repeatedly at the age where it would kind of stick in my mind, where I had that kitty sponge brain, not Kitty Kong, but the the thing where, like, you remember the names of things really, really, really easily. And it's not universal, but for the most part, I've still got a pretty good handle on the names of even all the enemy drones in this game. You guys are getting notified of the sub bomb. Jeez, people are saying they got a gift membership and they weren't even in the chat. Yeah, somebody will have to explain to me how that works, because I have no idea. I set up YouTube memberships like 3 years ago and never promoted it. Yeah, who is Kitty Kong? That's what I'm wondering. I believe, if I remember right, I set up like emotes. There should be a couple of emotes that you can use now, but after the stream's over, I guess I'll go in and set up some more now that I'm gonna have more YouTube members. Yeah, I think that gave a membership to everybody in the chat at the time, and apparently some people who weren't. Yeah, that was one of the reasons that I wanted to play on original hardware, so that I wouldn't be tempted to use Rewind. I did do that start select trick earlier. If you play Donkey Kong Country and you don't want to use Rewind for some reason, although honestly, like I said earlier, just use it if you need it. You can always use like the down Y, down Y. That's what I used to do sometimes. YouTube works in mysterious ways. Yeah, that's so weird. Like, it randomized from subscribers. Yeah, you're right. There are some people who just weren't in here before. Aw, Raygun remembers that Funky Kong is a dude! So that whole bit from the original DKC videos, that was actually from, like, sort of a reference to how my friends and I would characterize Funky Kong. For some reason, we all thought it was hilarious. Like, we were fans of the characters, you know. We would we would go outside and we would be like, okay, I'm Donkey Kong and I'm Diddy Kong, and we'd sort of act out scenarios. But whoever was Funky, we all thought it was the most hilarious thing. If the only thing you could say if you were currently Funky Kong was to be like, "Whoa, dudes, my name's Funky Kong," and that's all he said. Again, we were very young. The membership bomb happened in the Colgate, yeah. Seeing all these Kongs, what do you think of the new Voidco Kongs? I'm very interested to see more of them. I'm glad that they've managed to. I'm glad that the lady type Kong, I forget her name, but that she doesn't freak me out the way that Candy always did, or the way that Tiny in Diddy Kong Racing DS does. I think they have great designs. They remind me a lot of the Brutals from off of Super Mario Odyssey, in terms of I think this is going to be like a recurring group of enemies that you fight throughout the game. And also, I do not think that Void Kong is endgame. Or if he is, I think he might be K. Rool in disguise. I was talking about this the other day. Like, I'm not going to be torn up at all if K. Rool isn't in the game. That's not what's going to make or break it for me. What's going to make or break it for me is the roll jump in the game, and it is. I wonder if the Brothers Bear will return in Bonanza. You know, I mean, it's not off the table. The Northern Hemisphere is referenced in the fossil maps. If you look at the texture, you can actually see the Northern Hemisphere with Crimlantis highlighted on them. Candy is scary in DKC1. Candy is at her most scary in DKC1, I think because of the uncanniness of like the early ACM rendering tech. He sort of falls into this weird uncanny valley thing. She always freaked me out, dude. Like, even when I was a kid, I'd be like, "Urgh." She's not as bad in Donkey Kong 64. Riffing big time on Britney Spears there, though. Brothers Bear will be the final boss. Oh yeah, for beating Bratch's score. And Cranky telling us how to access the cheat menu here. Switch this cartridge off and let me get some sleep. I reckon I've earned it. You don't have to tell me twice. And give me just a second here, and I'll get set up for Mario Kart World, which we can play together if you have a Switch 2. If you're one of the dupes. Okay, that looks all right. I was worried I might have to change the resolution, but not. Looks like it just worked. Well, I couldn't play Sonic Crossworlds if I wanted to. It's not out yet. Candy in the DKC cartoon, I don't remember a whole lot about it, admittedly, but her design didn't freak me out the same way, so that was something. Oh yeah, they didn't show the Skylander DK amiibo. I'm sure it'll still work. There's probably just a licensing issue with it. And yeah, I heard they updated the course selection. I'm still holding out hope, though, that they're going to update this game to where it's actually just going to have more options for 3-lap Grand Prix and online stuff. Like, I'm guessing they just really want to focus right now they want to focus on the open world stuff. And understandably so, they put a lot of work into that, I'm sure. And I mean, I know some people who absolutely love this stuff and have found tons and tons of P switches, and some people have even already finished it. And I'm not too much of an immersion kind of gamer. I've done 65 P switch. That's more than I thought. That is more than I thought. But I find that it's really only good. If I try to play it normally, then I get bored real fast, and I'm like, okay, why aren't I just playing one of the racing modes? Which reminds me, I need to change my mapping here. I got so used to the Y button being accelerate in Mario Kart 8 that I can't go back anymore. Agent 00 Snake asks, hey Josh, is Mario Kart World any good? Oh yeah, I'm absolutely enjoying it. Alright, I'm going to set up a friends room so anybody watching this will be able to get the code. At least you will as soon as I pull it up. There it is. People screaming about light mode. I use light mode with most things. I do not use it with Discord, though. Oh yeah, agreed, big time, Danny. They say, I don't think it's a coincidence that DK and Pauline only have one outfit. Yeah, that is just incredibly, incredibly conspicuous. Yeah, in Mario Kart 8, both on Wii U and on Switch, you could use Y as accelerate. And I found that to be a lot easier. I think also just on the given the aesthetics of the Wii U gamepad, that was just easier for me to reach across there. And yeah, they took away the ability to say I'm using tilt controls. It's my favorite line. Yeah, the way I see it is Mario, this game, I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting a lot out of it. But I do feel like Mario Kart 8 just hit way harder for me personally. And I know a lot of people who are the exact opposite of that, where Mario Kart 8 kind of bored them pretty fast, and they're getting a lot more out of this one. But I do think that because there's so much of Mario Kart 8 already, I mean, it got updated with the Booster Course Pass, it got all the DLC going back to the Wii U version. There's 96 courses to it. So just coming out with another Mario Kart game that was more of that would have been very underwhelming, especially when Mario Kart 8 is, playable on the exact same hardware. I also think that some people are doing this thing where they're comparing Mario Kart 8 as it is now to Mario Kart World as it is, here at launch. When, you got to remember Mario Kart 8 was literally less than half the game it is now when it first came out. So I'm sort of hedging my bets on World that it's going to get DLC, it's going to get updates, it's going to get more courses and more characters and more costumes. My number one want is probably that it gets 200cc, because I got so used to playing 200cc in Mario Kart 8 that, switching off between them lately, it always just blows me away how much faster that is in Mario Kart 8. Yeah, it's hard to compete with the game. You can still play on the same console if you just make the same game. Matt asks, did you ever use tilt controls? One time. We'll get started soon. I'll leave this up. Anybody who wants to play is probably in by now, right? It's been a few minutes. And let's see, what should we do? I guess we'll start with a versus race, 4 races. Hard com. Or do we want to do no com? Would no com be more interesting? We'll go 1 minute intermissions. That'll give me time to catch up on chat. Darkwing says, I fully expect that $80 price tag is their way of justifying free updates later on. By the way, because we're in a friends race here, you can actually just hit plus and select any map that you want to vote for. And if you want to do if you want to vote for a 3-lap race, you can do it this way. Like, I will go for Koopa Troopa Beach, 5 laps. That's my pick. Oh yeah, first-person mode on Mario Kart 7. Oh yeah, I was talking about tilt controls. When the Switch version of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe first came out, Alicia and I got the little, like, the Joy-Con wheels, and we went to a park and we played it like that. And I think we only ever used them one time. But yeah, if it somehow never gets updated, then in the long run, I think I'll judge it very differently. But for now, I'm satisfied with what I got here. I'm feeling a little targeted already. I played this online with randos yesterday, and it's already gotten to the point where, like, about 80% of people are all playing with, like, the same cart. I think it's called, like, the baby blooper. I suppose some YouTuber said that's the best one, so now everybody does that. That was unfortunate, Ruckus. And as far as the $80 price tag goes, like, I guess it'll be different once the bundle is no longer available, right? But for the moment, the vast majority of people who have this game did not pay $80 for it. They essentially paid $50 for it. And, you know, like I said, the bundle won't be a thing forever. So eventually that'll change, and then also, like, man, it was just, there was so much misinformation out there about it too. Like, a lot of people were saying it cost $90. And, like, getting really weirdly, like, married to that idea. Like, I had a conversation with a guy in real life who was saying it cost $90. And I was like, no, it's going to retail for $80. It's like, no way, man, it's going to be $90. I think Transparency put it very well on Blue Sky. They were just like, people are being really weird about Mario Kart World. Bad timing. I thought I might be able to catch up to you. Oh, there it is, the baby blooper. Oh, maybe it is good. Yeah, I think a lot of people use the wheel on Mario Kart Wii because, like, it came with the wheel. so it was kind of natural. He says, my biggest gripe is I've never experienced having items stolen constantly like I have in this game. Yeah, the boos seem way more prevalent now. I've noticed that too. Oh, and yeah, okay, you said people getting in front of item boxes. Yeah, like when I was playing online yesterday, I noticed that people would like kind of juke you out. They'd like act like they weren't gonna go for the double item box, and then they'd swerve at the last minute and get it. And that kind of became part of the strategy, I think. Yeah, lightning works differently too. I think like this game is overall a little bit more hectic than Mario Kart 8 was, especially Mario Kart 8 like on the Wii U, because on the Wii U it didn't have. I'm gonna keep picking Koopa Troopa Beach. By the way, on the Wii U, it didn't have double item boxes, so it was especially like. I don't want to say skill based. I mean, it is still Mario Kart, but it didn't have like quite as much of the chaos as like even Deluxe did. This one is not totally like back to what Mario Kart used to be, but it's definitely a little more on the chaotic side, and that's especially helped along by the fact that there's what is it, like 24 racers on every course now. I mean, ordinarily there would be. We turned off CPU racers. The bots love to use lightning when I'm trying to roll for a new costume. Yeah, the first time I ever got one of the food items, I immediately got lightnings before I could use it. By the way, after we do this, I'm gonna try to remember to actually put the room code on screen. I could just put that on as a text element. But if anybody wants to like scrub back a bit and get it, that would be helpful. I like how we've got at least 3 Donkey Kongs. Very appropriate. Obviously, Donkey Kong has been my main character, as usual. I gravitated toward this cart because, like, it matches my traditional Geek Critique channel colors. Like, I legit like blue and yellow as a color scheme. So, that's my meta. Play with the character and cart that you like the best. It would be nice. I think it's the Crash game that came out in 2019. It has that thing called like Nitro Fueled, I think. Played a bit of that one, but I keep hearing people who love that game talk it up for having like you can select any cart and character combo you want, and then like the stats are independent of that, which would be cool. It would at least mean that you don't have like everybody playing the exact same, running the exact same card online. I do appreciate that this game has like sort of simplified cart selection. Like I think it was 7 and 8. Oh, that was bad. I find that the feather screws me up something like that sometimes, you know? Thank you, Darkwing. You know, if I lose here, I have never lost Rainbow Road before. I probably will this time, and I'm going to blame the fact that I have to keep babbling. I can't just focus on the game. Or can I? I guess I could shut up if I wanted to. It's just the big mushroom isn't really going to be useful here, is it? Oh yeah, if I want to go for a bike, then the Rob bike's been my main one. I wish they just put Rob in the game again, though. I thought that was Mario Kart DS was one of the ones I played the most. And I thought that was really neat. And now you might say if they added him, then like it would be Rob riding the Rob bike. But I mean, we've got the Dolphin doing the same thing. Yeah, don't think I'm going to catch you guys. That was probably not the best time to use that, huh? Yeah, that was the best time to use that. That was lucky. Sorry. I want Donkey Kong riding a Donkey Kong bike. Oh yeah, like a gray Donkey Kong bike. Okay, I'm going to add the room code now. God, the text that's already in here says no commentary for now, listening to the 30th anniversary symphony. So it's been a long time since I messed with this. Room code. That. Okay, can you guys see that okay? Do I need to make that bigger? Make it a little bigger. That ought to be fine. Oh, I think that's my favorite Rainbow Road in a long, long time. I think they, Mario Kart 8's new Rainbow Road was kind of it was a perfectly fine stage, but I would say it was a poor Rainbow Road. I think that this new one really lives up to like what I loved about. I picked random accidentally. Oh well. I think it lives up to a lot of what I loved about the N64 Rainbow Road, in that it's just this extremely long, epic course. It feels like a victory lap, and it goes through so many different like scenes and transitions and styles of courses. So yeah, really, really, really love it. And I think oh no, I knew what I was going to say there, but then the scene changed and I lost it. Oh well. That was the first time you played Rainbow Road. That's awesome, dude. Oh, I want Diddy back too. It sucks how we waited almost a decade to get Diddy in Mario Kart 8, and then we finally got him, and then of course now we go back to not having him. I hope it doesn't take so long this time. I like how you can always tell like everybody gets items at the same time. And I'm in the back again. Maybe I should switch to the Rob bike. Maybe I'd be doing better. Rude. Hey, you got me back, though. I feel like there's a Super Mario World level where that happens. The jumping on dolphins, I mean. Here's a pro tip that applies to 7, and I think they're in 7. That is that Coins are actually way more important than you think they are, because everyone raises your top speed a little bit. So, like, especially as you get toward like the end of a race, if you haven't been focusing on like keeping your coins up, like you're really gonna have trouble like keeping up with everybody. I think a lot of people just kind of like don't know that. But I remember when 8 came out, and my friends and I were playing it just constantly. We kept having to like new people who hadn't played it before. Oh, I have a blue shell in first. That's useful. That worked. I should have thrown. If I had been in first a little bit longer, I would have had to seen what happens. Will it just hit me if I throw it? But I wasn't in first for long enough to have the idea. Ooh, nice shot. Easy come, easy go. Man, I got messed up on that collision there. Not dead last! Almost dead last. You just hit yourself if you have a blue shell in first. I'm still going to have to do it. I want to see what it looks like. Dr. Mad says, how happy were you to see the Bochi skin for Yoshi? Oh, that's great. I think it's funny that, like, it's not... It's like as overt as they can get it without talking to Square, I'd imagine. Yeah, somebody is using the Bochi skin there. But in terms of like characters brand new to Mario Kart, obviously, you know, Gino and Mallow would nothing would make me happier than them. And I say that because Dixie Kong was in tour. But you know, the dream with this, I guess that my dream DLC right now would be like an entire like Bonanza expansion to it. You know, like maybe Donkey Kong Island like gets added onto the world map with like a couple of new courses, some new characters, definitely some new costumes for Donkey Kong and Pauline. Like, if that doesn't happen, I will be absolutely shocked. Boshi noise. Okay, I'll try it. People thought I was crazy when I said Mario Kart 64 fans didn't like Double Dash. Well, it's not just that; it's also Super Mario Kart fans didn't like didn't like Mario Kart 64. Like, this always happens. I think we're just seeing it happen on an especially like magnified scale this time, because Mario Kart 8 has been the de facto game for such an incredibly long time. Like, I was thinking about this. It came out in 2014, and now it's 2025. So if you're 17 years old now, then when you were 6, Mario Kart 8 came out. So it's essentially been the Mario Kart game for a lot of people's entire, like, working memory. So I think we're seeing, like, and this isn't the only factor, of course. I honestly think a much bigger factor in, like, its weird reception has to do with, like, the way that social media feeds and algorithms incentivize people to just be extremely negative all the time and reward that sort of behavior. Because, you know, I mean, it gets a lot of attention. It makes people spend longer on platforms. So there's all the reason in the world for platforms to reward that sort of thing. And I think that's a much bigger factor. But I do think it's also probably the case that we're seeing an unusually large amount of people for whom World is functionally their second ever Mario Kart game. And they've grown up enough in the time since that I always miss that one. That they're having that experience that, like, I did with Double Dash, or that Super NES, you know, people a little older than me had with Mario Kart 64, where they're like, hang on, this isn't like the old one. This one doesn't make me feel the same way I did when I was 7. But just like with anything else, give it 10 years and people will be swearing that this is the best. This was the best game in the entire series. I mean, heck, some people are already saying that. Hit somebody back there with that. Sorry. I like this turn in particular because it's just fun to like see how close to the edge you can get to it. Is it gonna be my time? Oh, yeah, probably. That's a good way of putting it, Matt. If you were 6 when Mario Kart 8 came out, you can now actually drive. Yeah, that's nuts. Like, I find a good way to like sort of measure time, or how rather not measure time, but how time would seem to like, for instance, a 17-year-old right now, is to just take the year that you were 6 and then the year you were 17 and remember how monumental the difference seemed to you at the time. Somebody said, Salvador says you should make a video about how people will go, Pokemon should just keep remaking Platinum because I felt ways at age 11 that yeah, Pokemon's funny because this cycle always happens to it, but it happens like to Pokemon about twice as fast as it does to anything else. Because I think people just get into Pokemon when they're so like particularly young, and then they not grow out of it entirely, but like they reach that point relatively fast. So, like, typically by the next generation or two. Oh, that was cool. Yeah, somebody in my Discord, I'll shout out Cornhorn. Their primary way of engaging with this game so far. Oh, I need to start the game. Let's do a knockout tour this time. And by the way, if anybody new wants to come in, then this is a good time to do it. Oh, yeah, I was 7 when Mario Kart 8 came out and got my driver's license the same day as the Switch 2 launch. Yeah, like for me, I've sort of visualized it. Imagine a game that came out in 1994, and then its sequel did not come until 2005. I mean, 94. That's the difference between Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Shadow the Hedgehog. So yeah, just it seemed like infinite time to me at the time. And yeah, that is the difference, the chronological difference from the perspective of a minor that they would feel for Mario Kart 8 versus Mario Kart World. Although I guess you have to like temper that a little bit with the fact that absolutely nobody bought a Wii U except for me and like 2 other people. Pigeon Lord said, I just graduated high school 1 year prior to Mario Kart 8 releasing. I am now married with a full-time job. Yeah, I mean, when Mario Kart 8 came out, like, that was when I was first doing Geek Critique retrospectives. I'm married now, too, and at the time, I was, like, years away from even meeting my wife. I was still in school when Mario Kart 8 came out. But all right, let's do a knockout tour this time. And I guess you have to have comms on. We'll go hard. We can take that. We tried turning on frenzy items in like a private game with the Discord the other day, and it kind of just didn't work out the way you thought it would because it was way too common to get super horns in like 3rd place when you didn't need them. So we'll just keep it normal. And this will be a vote, so I don't really care. Let's see, I was 25 when Mario Kart 8 came out. So yeah. Saw somebody say they were in their mid-20s. Yep, me too. Dude, Raygun, I have strong nostalgia for the Wii U. That the Wii U was like the most I've ever felt like the console I supported was like on the level of the Dreamcast. Like that was the kind of stakes that I felt like we were up against. And also just how much I was enjoying its first party library despite its reputation. The fun thing about online courses too is that like you can really tell the difference because like when you mess up, like everybody gets ahead of you so fast because people are just better at this game than the CPU is. Especially in Knockout Tour, one like you go from first to 24th in no time. Ooh, I thought I was gonna get you there, Ruckus. We keep trading barbs back and forth. Yeah, I saw somebody say that they missed the Donkey Kong portion, and I was like, but I'm playing as Donkey Kong now. But no, I know what you mean. Yeah, that turned out to take like no time whatsoever because I came so close to finishing it 2 days ago when I was playing. When I was done, I was like, man, I kind of want to keep playing DKC2, but I've already done everything. Except get the bonus stages and the DK coins, I guess. It was also really fun, I think, when I first got the game to like just play a Mario Kart game again where I wasn't already super good at it because like I got so into Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U especially. So like I'm not as good at the DLC courses or the booster course stuff, but on the Wii U, like the original courses on it, like I did that thing where you go into time trials and you download like the best course or the best time that anybody's done, and you like try to learn to follow that path and like learn where all the shortcuts are. And I played the heck out of Mario Kart 8. Which is why, it came to be that like the game Mario Kart 8 honestly did get kind of boring to me after a while, unless I was playing on 200cc. Because like it was just, especially like I said, especially on those original courses, it was just such a gimme that like I was gonna get way the heck out ahead of everybody else. So to play World and like not understand intuitively what the courses were or how the mechanics worked, that's just been really cool. And I was like really struggling with it early on, to be honest. Like going into like the Grand Prix and then coming out in like 4th or 5th place sometimes. I also just think this whole thing has been such a typical case of Nintendo doing like the dead end opposite of what everybody expects them to do. Because, Mario Kart 8 had Splatoon characters, and it had Link, and it had lots of amiibo costumes, and it seemed like the only place that Nintendo could possibly go from here. I need to try not to get eliminated, huh? Should probably work on that. The only place the most likely place that Nintendo would go next would be, Super Smash Kart. Like, yeah, start having more third-party characters, start having more characters from other franchises. And instead, they did this whole open world thing. And they really doubled down on mainly focusing on Mario series elements, with Donkey Kong, of course. He's kind of an honorary, as always, but... I just think Nintendo very often does, like, goes against the grain and does what people aren't expecting them to do. The DS was an example of that. Uh, hyper focusing on GPA connectivity when everybody else was, pushing online gaming was an example of that. And I'm not saying it always works out for them, but sometimes it does. I think, if I remember right, Arlo coined the term, and the way he says it is, Nintendo tends to zig when you expect them to zag. Instead, they gave us cow, exactly. Well, that would have been a good shot if I hadn't also gotten hit. Oh, hi, Cornhorn. Was talking about you earlier. Yeah, Cornhorn has been showing off, like, videos of shortcuts he's working on. Using, like, the wall riding and grinding mechanics. I do think it's kind of funny how many 3D platformers... Oh, I'm gonna get illuminated! No, I didn't. Barely. Oh, no, I did. I did. Well, now I can talk to you guys while they finish up. Mario Kart World was probably the right choice, and now DK gets to be the star of the Switch 2 for a bit. Yeah, isn't that nuts? But I was talking about that a lot the other day, too, how Donkey Kong, of all things, is, like, positioned as essentially, like, the big platformer release for the Switch 2 launch window. We have to stop meeting like this. Salvador says, do you think gaming history would have been better if Microsoft didn't buy Rare? So, Rare was going to be bought by somebody regardless. The Stampers absolutely wanted somebody to buy Rare. Nintendo, right at about that time, had a big management turnover. And Rare lost a lot of sort of its key defenders within the company. Actually, some of them went to Microsoft, which sort of helped facilitate this, the sale in the first place. So, in the alternate history, if it hadn't been Microsoft, it almost definitely would have been Activision. And in the short term, I think that might have been a net positive, because if you look at Activision's release schedule in the sixth generation, they put out a lot of games on everything. Rare wouldn't have had to... Part of the problem that Rare had in the sixth generation is that they had spent, like, several years learning the ins and outs of the GameCube hardware, and then they only got to put that to use in Star Fox Adventures. And then they had to shuffle all of their projects onto the Xbox. And that process took such a long time that a lot of them ended up getting canceled or ended up coming out for the Xbox 360 instead. So Activision might have been a better choice, might have seemed like the better option in the short term, but in the long term it would have been Activision, and Rare would have definitely ended up in the Call of Duty mines. And the funny thing is, now Microsoft owns Activision, so even in that scenario, Microsoft would have ended up with Rare anyway. Yeah, I too will take Sea of Thieves over Rare going to the Call of Duty mines forever. A CPU won! That's hilarious. Howard Lincoln with the Night Trap will never be on a Nintendo system, right? Okay, I think we're going to switch back to Grand Prix. just because that makes it easier for me to keep up with chat, quite frankly. Rare would be making Call of Duty. If they still existed in any way, shape, or form, yeah, they would have been put in the Call of Duty mines in like probably about 2012, 2013 at the latest. We haven't already done Koopa Troopa Beach, have we? I'm gonna switch to picking DK Spaceport just in case. I've only been halfway paying attention. At least Crash got the Insane Trilogy in Crash 4. That's a lot more than Banjo's had. Oh, and we got DK Spaceport. Nice. Yeah, it's funny how every time there's about to be like... This happens about twice a year. Some supposed leaker will put out something about how, oh, a new Banjo game is going to come out, and then they get a lot of attention for it. And everybody gets hyped, and then of course it doesn't happen. And I honestly think the whole incentive there is just to, of course people know that people want this, so you're gonna get a lot of attention if you say it's happening. That was bad. Oh, it worked out for me. Thank you, Mario Kart. Mario Kart giveth and Mario Kart taketh away. I'm also really glad, by the way, that bullet bills don't like knock you like loopy anymore unless they hit like absolutely directly. I think as chaotic as this game is, if they still like blasted you as hard as they did before, that would be very unfortunate. Well, turn too much. But yeah, I've kind of like, I don't know, I guess my attitude is kind of like a lot of Silk Song fans at this point when it comes to the prospect of Banjo. Although at least those guys know Silk Song is happening someday. At least they've seen footage of it. But it's like, if it happens, that'll be great, and if it doesn't, I can live with it. It's fine. I would like for it to happen, but I'm not like gonna get, I'm not gonna get my hopes up, I guess. I do think it's very like, I get this from a marketing standpoint and from sort of like a personnel standpoint, because releasing merchandise and developing games are two completely different things with two completely different like expectations and systems and like avenues you have to go through. But I do admittedly feel a little bit burned as a Banjo fan with like how much Banjo-Kazooie merchandise is out there with like absolutely nothing to like, not with no new games to like support it. Oh, you can do tricks by shaking the Joy-Con. I did not know that until just now. I just accidentally figured that out, huh? But I mean, on a long enough time scale, all things are possible. Streets of Rage was gone for almost 30 years, and we still got another one of those. Got what I wanted last time. Now I'll go back to picking Koopa Troopa Beach. I think that's the second time that somebody has gone, you can what? And I think it might have been you. But yeah, if you just shake the Joy-Con as you go over a ramp, you'll do a trick. Actually, I think you might be able to do tricks faster that way. Not that it matters. I think you only get a boost if you do it once, but I'll try it this time. I also think there are probably a lot of factors working against Banjo at this point that are kind of contradictory. One being that it's been so long that expectations would be sky high, but also it's been so long that Banjo is like not as well known as it once was, and like the hype for it would have to be like, I don't think as much hype for it would be sort of created by the fans, so to speak, because like we're well past the point where Banjo-Kazooie was like at the peak of the nostalgic zeitgeist, you know? Like the time to do a new Banjo was like about 2015. About the time that like Project Ukulele became like the most successful Kickstarter in history. Because I mean that shows how much of an appetite there was for something like that at the time. And not saying that it couldn't be successful now, just that like it would need to, how do I put this? It wouldn't have like the free hype built in of like finally this thing that a bunch of people are incredibly nostalgic for right now, who are still like, you know, they don't have like jobs, like a bunch of their time being taken off by jobs and family and things like that, because oh man, a lot of my friends have had kids and don't play games the way they used to, let me tell you. The time to do a new Banjo was when John Trod made that Nuts and Bolts video. Ah, that Nuts and Bolts video. Boy, did I get tired of talking about that. Maybe I'm just missing something, but isn't asking for a new Banjo game like asking for a new Castlevania game when Bloodstained is right there, getting a new game under the same devs? To an extent, yeah. I mean, Playtonic never had the actual director of Banjo-Kazooie, Greg Mayles, but it did have a good chunk of like the rest of the team. A panel? But yeah, I think a new Banjo would have to, I guess it couldn't skate by on just on quote unquote just being a throwback at this point would be my concern. It would need to be, it would need to do what Bonanza is looking to do and use what works of what, like you like use a lot of elements of what came before, but also just like feel free to like try new things and like sort of make it on its own merits. It is wild that Mega Man 11. I think Mega Man 11 was actually was 2018, I believe, but yeah, it's been out for a long time now. Darkwing says, I'd love to know exactly how many people bought the Banjo DLC for Smash. That's like the one modern piece of data they have. Yeah, that was like the that was like the peak of like hope right there. Was when Banjo came out for Smash Brothers, because it was like, okay, if it's gonna happen, it can look like this, and it can like capitalize on the hype that we have right now. And like I feel like even like a remake of Banjo-Kazooie right then, because that was kind of what was happening a lot around that time. Like that's when the Insane trilogy came out. That's around the time that the Spyro trilogy came out. And I think we saw a lot. I think we saw a lot of companies kind of, well, at least Activision. I guess those are both Activision. But hey, maybe it would have been better if they'd bought Rare. But they were kind of like testing the waters with those releases. I feel like seeing like, is there still an appetite for this sort of thing? And in the case of Crash, anyway, there was, and so that got us Crash 4. But then I think what happened was like, unfortunately, like the Insane trilogy just did so much better than Crash 4 that like that seems to have like kind of killed it off again. And I mean, you know, again, now Microsoft owns both of them. And it's like, I sure would like if they do something with that. But who knows what Microsoft's up to these days. Yeah, for us, like, 90s Nintendo fans, and I think especially, like, you know, N64 kids in particular, just seeing Banjo in Smash and the way that he was announced, especially, was just so freaking gratifying. It felt for a moment like the world had been set right, you know, because Banjo was positioned as a mascot and was like was a Nintendo owned IP early on. So just to be like that again, the equivalent of your parents getting back together. My wife, ladies and gentlemen. You probably can't hear her very well, but she has arrived home. So I'll probably make the next race my last one because I mean, you know, Alicia hates video games and doesn't want anybody to play them. Whew. I had no clue Crash 4 did worse than the trilogy. At least that's what I've heard. Somebody might want to check me on that. The chat is cawing for you. She says thanks. Crash got that weird MOBA. Yeah, that thing died a death. Jeez. But yeah, the next race will be my last one. Although I do know, I believe even if I leave, like the room will still be here as long as there are people in it. Somebody says it's weird to think of Banjo as a Nintendo mascot and not just Rare. Yeah, like it would be the equivalent because you know how Laboratories developed Kirby, so it would be like the equivalent of like if Nintendo sold off HAL and Kirby was owned by Sony. Like that's what it seems like to me, or at least it did for a long time. You know, now it's been so long, I'm pretty dang used to it. But like DK Vine will often post photos like you know archive.org photos of Nintendo's website in the 90s and how you know you'd see Banjo like in the header image right next to Mario and Link and all of them. So yeah, Banjo was. Am I gonna make it to this? Oh, well, the selection will come up. There we go. I think most of the stuff that I've gotten has come during free roam mode. Let's see. I'll do Koopa Trooper Beach one more time. Oh, I think I fell off. I got it! Okay, but what if Crash 4 had been a live service game? Yeah, it was so blatant, wasn't it? No, I loved Crash 4. I know a lot of people like, especially like hardcore Crash fans, had a big problem with like the difficulty in that game, and I get it. But like, I've never 100% completed a Crash Bandicoot game anyway. So like, for me, just doing like the base content was enough, and it was very difficult even just doing that stuff. But I really enjoyed it. I know the PC version has like a quality of life improvement mod that makes a lot of that stuff a lot more doable and also, you know, fixes up a lot of other rough edges. On my most recent replay, I started playing that for a while. So look into that if you have an option. I like how we're just on Big Donut, the battle stage from the N64 version here. Oh yeah, when we first started playing this, somebody was offended that I've never played battle mode online. I've only played one round of it in general. I'm not. I was never big on Mario Kart battle modes. I feel like Starman used to make you go a lot faster. You know. Now I would suggest we could play Mario Kart 64 via the NSO app, but the net code would not allow for that to be a very good experience. God, last year I played Banjo-Tooie on NSO, the multiplayer mode of that, with like four of my friends, and one of them was from Australia, and the game was an absolute slideshow. It was like sub 1 frame per second at times. It was so slow. It's the heart, soul, and blood of every Crash player to destroy every box they see, even in real life. Yeah. See, like I said, when I play Crash Bandicoot now, sometimes I start falling into that mindset where I'm like, okay, I have to try to get every box. And then I stop enjoying the game when I try to play it like that. So I'm like, no, I don't have to destroy every box. I have to get to the end of the level as fast as possible. Banjo-Tooie does have multiplayer, and a pretty dang robust multiplayer, too. It's a lot of fun, but only if you are playing with other people who also know how to play Banjo-Tooie really well, which you almost never are. So it would have been really fun to play it on NSO because I was playing with like a bunch of other people who've been playing it forever. Had one of them not been from Australia, maybe we would have had a better time. Oh, Tui doesn't just have like a first-person shooter mode. It has all kinds of like mini games. It has like a bumper cars. It has a quiz show mini game. It has like about a dozen different multiplayer game types. Local multiplayer was huge on the N64. Yeah, typically the way I most call your banjo friends. Yeah, typically the way I enjoy playing games the most is to run through them as fast as possible. I wonder where I got that. But all right, it's been a great time, everybody. Thanks again to the person who gifted 50 subs. Like I said, nobody, I didn't even know you could do that on YouTube. I only vaguely even understand what that means. And even once I quit, somebody else will probably become the leader. I'm not sure who. But you guys can keep playing if you want to. Oh yeah, DK64 multiplayer was great too. But all right, thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. Sorry the Donkey Kong Country 2 section wasn't longer than I expected it to be more than that. But all right, it's been a blast. Everybody take good. Typically, Alicia says this part, but she's upstairs, so I'll do it. Take care of yourselves. Drink water. Do some stretches. Um, and genuinely, things are rough out there right now. Take care of yourselves. Take time to focus on yourselves. Do relaxing things. Don't try not to get too caught up in all the negativity in the world because there's a lot out there if you go looking for it right now. And until next time, you keep geeking. I'll keep crutty.